Hello and welcome to Sex Ed Sundays with Dr. Sonya Maya. I am currently Sailor Moon. It is Halloweekend. That is why I am in this costume. Let's talk about the orgasm gap, okay? This is a really important topic because a lot of people don't seem to understand or change their behaviors based on this particular fact. If you like sex education videos, make sure to hit that like and subscribe and turn on bell notifications for some more. Let's talk about the percentages of pleasure differentiations, okay? So according to research, if you take a look at heterosexual women and how often they have an orgasm when having sex with a heterosexual man, you will see that they will have an orgasm 65% of the time. If you take a look at how often heterosexual men have an orgasm, you will find that they finish 95% of the time. So there's about a 30-ish% difference in terms of orgasm prevalence among heterosexual couples. However, women in general, vulva owners in general, pretty much always able to make themselves finish or help themselves finish when they're on their own. 95% of the time, a woman can give herself an orgasm in 4 minutes or less. Lesbians tend to finish 86% of the time. So this is a lot more than heterosexual women. Why is the orgasm gap real? Why is this? It should not be this way. However, unfortunately, society seems to emphasize the penile vaginal intercourse over other types of sexual experiences, and I want to talk about that more in this video because this definitely leads to some problems in society when it comes to difference in pleasure. If someone is unaware of the diverse ways that individuals such as vulva owners might prefer to experience pleasure, then they might be caught in this trap of I need to use my penis to make her come, even though most women don't come from a penis. 1/3 of women are able to have an orgasm from penetrative sex. That means that over 70% of individuals require clitoral stimulation in order to have an orgasm. That is something that definitely needs to be jammed into the heads of society. According to my research, men tend to underreport the size of the orgasm gap within their own relationship as well, which might not be their fault in some ways because according to research, it seems that 80% of women feel the need to fake an orgasm. So maybe they think they're doing something right, but they're not. If their example is porn, for example, where people are faking and acting all the time, they might not actually be able to tell that their partner is faking it. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about 3 different ways that you can treat the orgasm gap. 3 different ways that we can make sure to avoid that in our partnerships and improve our sexual health, sexual well-being. Number 1, understanding the female anatomy is really important. You want to understand the female anatomy and then combine that with specific communication. First off, the idea of the G-spot or G area has been very much debated in society. There is a G-spot, there isn't a G-spot. What research is showing currently is yes, there is a G area. As I've talked about many times before, the clitoris isn't just the nub you see on the outside. The clitoris itself is a huge organ. It actually has legs, so to speak. So the internal nerves of the clitoris go inside the body. Recent research is showing that the G area is most likely part of an extension of the clitoris on the inside. First off, in order to have a G-spot orgasm, a lot of sexperts claim that if you've had a clitoral orgasm first, it can be easier to find the G-spot. Even if you don't have an orgasm already, making sure that you are super aroused, I'm talking 20, 30 minutes of foreplay if needed, you really need to make sure that you're fully aroused and blood is flowing to that area for you to achieve this. In order to have a G-spot orgasm, you need to apply pressure to the area 2 inches above the vaginal opening. So here's the vaginal opening, 2 inches above on the upper wall, kind of close to where the belly button is. That is where the G area typically is. When a woman is very aroused, you'll be able to feel a bit of a difference. I've heard somebody say somewhat of like a peach pit feeling with your fingers, and you're gonna do a come hither motion with your fingers or with the dildo, or sometimes the penis can hit the G-spot in some ways. Some also recommend that during G-spot stimulation, you press on the lower part of the belly. This can actually put more pressure and intensify the stimulation. Tip number 2 for decreasing the big O gap in society, make sure that you're exploring pleasure on your own. It is very difficult to know what you like in the bedroom with a partner if you haven't already explored that pleasure on your own. And what I mean is taking a look at your vulva as a woman, taking a look at your vulva with a mirror, understanding what feels good. Does it feel good to accent, meaning focus on the left side, the right side of my clitoris, what feels good. You can experiment with your fingers, you can experiment with a vibrator. Knowing what you like on your own is really important, because when you're on your own, there isn't that extra pressure to be like, oh my God, what are they thinking of me? And that's something to work on, because it's really hard to enjoy being with a partner if you're constantly in your head. It is really good to practice mindfulness and experiencing pleasure on your own, so you can practice mindfulness and being in the moment with pleasure with a partner. Masturbation is super healthy. You can check out books like She Comes First to learn more about your anatomy and learn more about what typically feels good for vulva owners. Dr. Ian Kerner with She Comes First has a great book. Dr. Emily Morse has Smart Sex, also a great book. I'm gonna put both of the book references below with the other sources in this video if you want to check those out. The reason it's so important to explore your pleasure on your own and know what you like is because you really don't want to spend your life faking it. Approximately 80% of women fake it in the bed, and you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing your partner a disservice by doing that. You want to learn more about your body, and then when you feel comfortable, you want to ask your partner, would you be comfortable with exploring my own pleasure and your own pleasure together? Can we do that together? That is really important, because you want sex to be two-sided, not just one-sided. And the Big O app emphasizes that there's a lot of one-sided sex out there, and we don't like that in this world or this moon universe. We don't like that. Number 3, this is really important, and I've talked about this before. Using porn can be just fine, but understand porn ain't real. It ain't real in any universe, okay? It exists, but it does not represent reality. Porn stars are actors, and this is really important to understand. If porn is your only source of sex education, then you might think that, oh, I need to do this position and put her in this way for her to have pleasure. That is not going to lead to pleasurable sex if that is your only resource. Yes, there's ethical porn out there, but most of what you see online on Pornhub, for example, these are not realistic scenarios. Men tend to think you need to go forever, you need to go all night, I need to have this huge penis. A lot of women are actually afraid of really large penises. And I also talked about this 2 videos ago, a couple weeks ago. I'll link it right here. Penile bodily dysmorphic disorder. So many men think that their peen is too small, even when they're average or higher. And this has to do with porn as well. And if you're with a partner expecting them to take it like a porn star, for example, that sexpectation can be the biggest turnoff in the bedroom. You can also, if you would like to, still use porn because it is healthy and it can be helpful with fantasy, look up ethical porn. So you can either keep watching the heteronormative porn that you watch now, or you can do some research to find ethical porn. There are certain porn companies out there that make sure that everyone involved is consenting and there's no violations happening and everything like that. That's something that you can look into. Watching videos like these can also be really helpful. I'm putting a podcast below that's really helpful for men and women to listen to about having better sex. Because the more that we take time to learn about these things and unlearn what we've been exposed to our whole lives, the better off we're gonna be, the better pleasure we're gonna